Hey there.
What do you want, human?
Regarding the investigation you asked me to do.
Did you find anything? Who killed our brother?
The eyewitness testimony is clear, and they've even confessed. It's the work of religious fanatics.
Assholes! I knew it. We're gonna make them pay. Your help has been appreciated. And I see that there are exceptions to the selfishness that pervades most of your kind. We will get your vehicle, but it will take some time. We can only work at night, and the ostriches will have a hard time with such a large machine. We should have it back within 12 hours for you.
I can imagine that you're surprised to see so many mutants moving freely around here. I know that it's not the case in Ophir, but their life isn't easy here. Racism, segregation. I am so grateful I'm not a mutant. Gotta respect their courage, though. Living with this hatred, this daily dose of contempt, seems like a giant test of character. Don't expect them to be at your beck and call. They'll most likely ask for something in return for their services. They are a free people here.
Hello, Phobos.
Hello, Zachariah. What can I do for you?
What really happened with your mother? I must say I didn't understand much. That stone? The police's arrival?
My mother was helping me as much as she could to carry out my mission. She would provide me with information, sometimes hide mutants on the run before they could leave the city. She was a wonderful woman, Zach, but someone turned her in. Fiorello heard and raced to get me out with your aid. Though how I yearned to save her, to get to the slums to warn her. But I knew I could not. You, though, could. The stone was a token of recognition. She knew what it meant. If she was turned in, she had to leave as soon as possible. And if she couldn't, the drawing was made with an ink made of jellyfish venom.
But why give her that poison?
I didn't want her to die, Zach. I loved my mother. But I knew what the ASC would do to her in their jail. If they caught her, she needed a way to avoid being tortured.
What really happened with
My feel?
But why?
I didn't want.
When did you discover that you were a mutant?
The first symptoms of mutation appeared when I was very young. I must say that I can't really remember very well. My mother noticed them, and she taught me how to hide the marks, even though I think that I didn't know what it meant. She was hoping to keep me close to her, but as soon as the first marks appeared on my face, they spotted me out right away. I will never forget my arrest, how violent they were toward my mother. I was just a kid. I was sent to one of the farms on the outskirts of town. That's where I learned what it meant to be a mutant.
What's the Mutant Nation? You created it, right?
It is a little overblown, but I was one of its founders, among many others. Of course, other mutants were living outside the city as runaway slaves, hidden here and there, stealing whatever they could find in order to survive. A small community had settled in Noctis and benefited from the hospitality of the merchants, who allowed them to move around freely. However, we did not have any way to defend ourselves or plan a future. We were all spread out. A few of us decided to get together. We found a place, a very unique one, and we soon started doing it up, bringing in equipment and erecting houses. As for me, I especially wanted to free as many brothers and sisters as possible. So I went back to Ophir, and I realized that nobody cared about mutants, especially if they didn't look very smart. I began to help dozens of them escape. And our nation soon began to grow. There are a lot of us now, and I hope that all mutants will be able to live there someday.
Hey.
Hey, back.
What happened that day?
I had a surge. A big one. One even the Masters never saw coming, literally. Before they even knew what was happening, I electrified everyone and everything around me. It screamed like thunder from my body, before the ceiling itself finally collapsed in on me. I woke up in the infirmary without an arm, surrounded by all those powerful masters who stood there shaken, whispering, their eyes still filled with fear. And everything went dark again, and I woke up in a sand sail.
Why aren't you with your family?
Right, my family. They were small-time merchants. I'm sure real proud their son was gifted with Technomancy and was joining the school. They were also scared as shit of me for the same reason. We're all scared of what we don't understand. It's why so many fear us both. Not that I'm sure any of the masters even asked them to take me back. It was more important to them that I disappear for good, to hide what happened, keep the illusion of their infallibility intact. Also, to hide the fact they had people among them who had the power to take down entire buildings. No, I had to go. In some ways, they even did me a favor.
And you never tried to reconnect with them? Even after you got free?
No, I looked for him. Even tracked down my father. He was just this old man. Didn't even recognize me. And if he did, he'd probably just hate me for what I've become. A crippled outcast. Not something you'd put your pride in. So I let it lie. Just walked away.
What about your gift? I thought people died if they didn't use their fluid.
It's a myth. There are rogue technomancers out there. Not a lot, but a few. They know how to control their fluid surges. Probably the only thing that piece of shit Marcello could take credit for. He introduced me to one of those guys, and after that, I learned to control it the hard way. The irony, no? I'll never be a Technomancer now, but I control the fluid better than any of Abundance's masters. Not for power, just to make sure my own brain doesn't fry.
What have you been up to since you left?
What have I done? Well, after spending 10 years of my life as a slave trying to pay that piece of shit Marcello back for what he called my debts, traveled in his luggage hold, did his dirty jobs, whatever he needed to get his business going. Carried crates, drove sand sales, shoveled sand, ran errands, but mostly, he just picked his customers' pockets. I traveled a lot, though, if I'm going to find any silver lining in it, and have earned my damn place here in Noctis. Even if the price of that has been rarely sleeping in a real bed or reading a book that wasn't about accounting.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hello, Amelia.
Oh yeah.
You care about saving those folks. What have they ever done for you?
It's not what they've done. It's who they are. They're my family, and I won't abandon them.
I don't get it, but sure.
Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hello, Amelia.
Zachariah!
What do you think about Andrew? He comes from Ophir like you, and he could have become a Technomancer, but he had an accident.
I remember, yes. You know that I was the one who had spotted his abilities and had taken him to school, as I did for you? I thought that he was dead. That's what I was told, that he was dead. I shouldn't have listened to them. He looks perfectly alive now.
Yes, but he lost an arm during the accident, and he can't use Technomancy anymore.
How so? That's ridiculous. Technomancy has nothing to do with arms. It is all in the head. You just have to... Let me think. Yes, I think that with... Yes, that's it. With a full Technomancer kit, I would have the parts needed to create a bypass on a classic prosthesis. But I would need my notes to do that.
Your notes?
I studied Technomancy as well. Anyway, from a scientific standpoint, obviously. I've never thrown lightning bolts, and I can't do it physically. Moreover, those kits wouldn't suit me, I'm sure.
Scott, you studied Technomancy?
Yes, and I had conducted in-depth research on the way in which your neural network expressed its static charge throughout your equipment. But all this is old. I can't remember it all, and I left my notes in Ophir. I won't have any trouble helping that boy if you bring me my notes and the equipment. You wanted something else?
No. Thank you, Scott. I'm gonna try to bring all that back.
Good thing we're in Ophir.
Zach, perfect timing. You remember Abby Goodman, friend of mine you helped before?
Yeah, of course. She really your friend, or all just part of the cover you had going on?
No, no, she is. She's a spy for Noctis too, though. She's actually been working on something for me and finally managed to get some info I'd been trying to get.
What information was that?
I spent a part of my life in a rehabilitation camp after my arrest in Ophir. It was the worst time of my existence, and I've always wondered how I'd ended up here. Who had turned us in? We were just a group of street kids. We would steal food here and there, but we weren't dangerous. However, we were arrested and deported to a camp like hardened criminals or terrorists. What happened followed me for many years, until I learned that an important member of the Vori clique was responsible for the deportation of dozens of people. Most of them were innocent, but a nuisance for the mob. I want to find that guy. I want to know if it's he who got us deported. I want to understand why, and make him pay. For me, and my companions, of course, but also for those poor people who hadn't asked for anything.
I'm sorry, but I can't come with you right now.
I see.
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach.
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach.
Hey there, you from Noctis? Don't seem like a merchant.
Yes and no. Here on a private matter. You by any chance know the underworks?
Well enough. Even here, there's rules that forbid us to go to certain parts of the city, but in these tunnels, they become little more than technicalities.
I'm looking to get to the Technomancer's chapel. There's an entrance in the crypt, but I don't know how to get there.
Well, I can show you the tunnels under the source. Once upon a time, I used to smuggle merchandise through there. Remember hearing about some magical gate down there, too? I take it it's